Joining us right now from somewhere around the world, it's Mike from around the world. Mike, how you doing tonight?
God bless you, Pastor Paul. Doing pretty good.
Good. Busy? Are you a little busy?
I'm always that way for some reason.
Maybe it's the events of the world we're in. I mean, it's pretty wild, isn't it? Wow.
It's rough. It's rough.
Mike, there's a lot of places we can go with tonight. I just titled this Danger Looms. I think when you got Kim Jong-un firing off rockets, you got Putin threatening nukes, when you have the United Nations letting the Palestinians have their own seat at the table, statehood.
They're forcing it.
They are. And Kamala Harris basically said, look, if she gets in, she said there will be a two-state solution. They're forcing it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, they're forcing that now. That's happening now. They're not going to wait until she gets in, or they're not waiting. That's why you saw the accommodations made at the UN, right?
Yeah.
Because they're going to do that thing. The outcry in the Middle East for the Palestinians is pretty high, and then around the world it's pretty high. Even in America, the number of those who oppose Israel's actions is greater than 60%.
Really? Around the world, 60%.
Well, in America, just in America, is 60%.
No,
of those say yes. And so what that means is these guys they're going to go ahead and force it. They're not going to ask them. They're going to force it. And I fear to say there's rumbling language being utilized. They know that Israel is going to have a change of leadership.
Yeah. So you're saying they're going to force a two-state solution. They're going to force Netanyahu out of power. Are they going to force Kamala Harris into power?
Who knows? Either way, you know what? I believe this. Here's what I believe. I hate to say this, but I believe this. Either way, they're going to have their way. It's going to be different this time. They have too many vices over everybody's heads, right?
Yeah.
And so they're not going to be, it's just not going to be as people think it's going to be. I hope people are praying for Donald Trump. I do. And I hope that folks are praying for whoever their favorite candidate is, because we have a different force coming to the forefront this time. You know, for a long time, there have been hidden elements in the USA, and everybody's been trying to find out what are these hidden elements in the USA? You know, who's really got the power? I do believe this time people are going to find out what that hidden power is. They're certainly going to see it in action, and it's already starting to, you know, that machine they're starting up is going. It's already beginning to go.
So this machine, of course, this beast kingdom that's coming into play, people need to be prepared. People need to be prayed up. People need to be voting. People need to stand strong for Jesus. But we've seen empires come and go, Mike. We've seen empires fall.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the reasons they fall is, number one, especially if they reject God or turn their backs on the Lord, or if they get so arrogant, or if they allow their sin to be so committing abominations openly and without hesitation or no conscience. Do you see those things happening here in the United States?
Well, from a Christian point of view, right, a lot of people who are believers, they don't necessarily hear some of the garbage that goes on in the world, right? But if you take a step back and you look at the entire picture, what you see is that we have passed policies for abominations, right?
Yeah.
We protect the rights of devils, right?
Oh.
And so we perpetuate this stance against faith.
Okay.
Right? So we're not, as far as most people live their lives based off some calculation or promise of the world. Now, when they're in the Christian scene, of course, they hope for faithful things, but they live by standards of the world, right?
Okay.
And that's what's gonna bring them in. Right now, a vacuum is starting, a vacuum of just bitter hatred. Pastor Paul, there were some folks that I was involved with. We got direct interviews from quite a few people in some of these towns and their true sentiment concerning things, you know, in the USA. It is so bad. You can't even you can't publish the audio nor the video. That's how
Wow.
bad it is. But what it did indicate was you have these internal wars beginning to start, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Most people within a couple of months' time are going to be drawn into some sort of a side dealing with ethnic groups or racial groups. That's going to happen right here in this country. Even tonight, there are large groups of, let's just say, groups that are opposed to certain races. They have already gotten together. Certain governors are complicit, right? So don't think every political person out there is innocent, and they will take matters into their own hands, right? They're giving this election time to see which way it's going to go. Right now, it's not going so well. I can tell you that now. These guys are ready to act. Now, even, when you take counter intel and you bear that down on the nation where you're from, there's a problem. When you have judges scared to death, right? I mean, scared to death, there's a problem. When you have letters and outcry coming from high officials because of the people, there's a problem. That all this happened this week.
Wow.
Right? You have all these letters that have been sent out. People are actually, they're frightened of the outcome of this election. They're frightened of November. They're frightened of it. So frightened that now we're going to have additional forces doing certain things within this country because of the hostilities that are beginning to rise. And the violence has already started in 36 states. Schools right now are being threatened in 36 states, and that number's growing, right? They're going to, I'd estimate,
are you saying bomb?
Within a week or so.
Are you saying bomb threats?
No, mass shootings.
Okay, that's happening. Yes,
mass shootings.
Yes, that's happening.
Mass shootings. There have been communications picked up. They're being hunted down. You have bad people out there that want to hit America right to the heart where the children are. And so you have these same individuals, right, targeting elementaries. They're targeting preschools on purpose. We're not talking about some accidental thing. The bad part is they're evil enough to do this, and it's just it's a myriad of things happening. There's a lot of people. The rhetoric that's out there in the world has gotten to such a degree that many folks are losing their foundation. They're losing it. You have a lot of desperate people out there, right? A lot of twisted individuals. A lot of folks they hope to capture. All these, well, just think about it. All these young girls who are being kidnapped, right?
Yes.
They're being just snatched up left and right. The numbers are outrageous. Even some of the young men, it's happening in broad daylight, and not by foreigners. This is happening by Americans, right?
Yes.
Why? Because these people are being paid $2 million a person.
No, Mike, no.
Yes. $2 million a person. So if you with the type of despotism that people find themselves in, right, and with all the folks that are on all these, methamphetamines and things of that nature, they will do these things, and they don't care what the fallout is. This is spreading all throughout the USA, and this has been on this steady uptrend for at least 25 years, and it's just gotten to a head. Now you have foreign interests or these foreign powers utilizing a weakness in this country to bring it all the way down. When I say they want to hit us at the heart, that's exactly what they want to do, and they're not going to stop until they do it. With the elections coming up also, you have no choice from some of the larger entities like China and Russia, right? They are watching very closely. If Trump gets into power, they know they're going to have to come up with a different type strategy, right? If Kamala Harris gets in power, they're going to have to come up with a different type strategy, because their best option is to do something prior to the elections. It's their best strategy.
Yes, that's true.
Right? Which is why you're starting to see a lot of these foreign nations make moves they never made before. Never. And unfortunately, our actions are a bit too late.
Let me ask you this. The foreign nations are making moves. Is it I mean, look, it's a big difference between Trump and Harris. How they will run, how they will rule, their policies they will have, and their dispensation in the world, on the world stage. Are they preparing more? I mean, which way are they preparing? Do they think they already know who's going to win? Which way are they preparing?
No, they don't. You know what? Just to spoil the game that's out there, part of the perception is to not let them know who's going to win.
That's part of the
Americans know.
Part of the American
that's part of our
strategy.
That's what they're doing, because that's why you see them neck and neck.
Yes,
you have to see them neck and neck.
But are they really neck and neck?
See them. Well, the world has to see them neck and neck, because imagine if Putin perceived that Trump was going to win. I'll tell you right now that Putin wants the Ukraine. He's going to take the Ukraine. But if Trump gets into power because of what he already said,
yes,
Putin is going to have to back off.
Yes,
he does not want to back off. He's going to finish what he has to do. Now, what do you see him doing? He just conscript quite a few people into the Russian army, right? I mean, there are folks in India who have been trapped in contracts that they're just crying to get out of the Russian army, go back home. He's also joined forces with a lot of Islamic forces. It finally happened. And this is bad news for the world, because it's my belief this is when he makes his move. Putin has not made a move yet, but he will.
So in other words, he's gotten different nations, individuals from different nations, army soldiers from different nations. He contracted them
all nations.
And he ain't gonna let them. Yeah. And now they're wanting out of this thing. It's a meat grinder. It's
some of the Indian troops. Some of the Indian troops want to get out to go back home because they know what's about to happen. Right?
Yeah.
The only people he's lost are some of the proxy individuals from Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis.
Yeah.
They've been rotating in there, rotating out. He hasn't lost too many Russian. He hasn't lost a lot of troops. He has not. And most of the troops that the Ukraine prides himself on having, they're not even Russian soldiers, right? These guys are not mainline Russian troops. So what Putin is about to do, he's going to have to bolster his plans. Iran is going to work side by side with this, and they will ultimately. It's my opinion, Pastor, I hate to say this, but this is one of those times they're going to achieve what they set out to achieve.
You got Kim Jong-un now is firing missiles again, threatening to unload a 4.5 ton nuclear warhead capability. I guess that what he fired off today actually could carry a 4.5 ton warhead.
Yes, 2 new launch vehicles. He can hit the U.S. anywhere now.
So
and Canada.
Who's okay? Is he doing this on his own, or is China or Russia? Are they urging him to do these things to show?
They have Passover command, right? So if, for example, if something really started, China or Iran or Russia could take control of the launch centers in North Korea, right? So if they launched from North Korea to hit us, we're going to pinpoint them, not Russia and those guys, right? So that's the way that works. Russia, keep in mind, Russia they're ahead of us when it comes to computer engineering.
Wow,
they're ahead of us. So that's where we are.
Wow, you're not hesitating.
Normally,
you didn't stutter with that.
Powers to do things like that. No, they're ahead of us. They are. Well, think of it. Who's on defense? We are. Right?
That's
true. Are we not on defense?
Yes.
Are we not being hacked all the time? Are we not compromised? 80% of the folks out there, their social security numbers on the dark web, right? They just put out a brand new report. They're advising people to get some type of protection. They have to fast track AI for more defense, right? They're incorporating lots of different platforms, security platforms, because of the compromise of communications. Right. So they already demonstrated they can shut us down when they want to. That was a message. That's why the phone companies never really answered the question properly.
What about this? U.S. aircraft carriers in the Middle East now are headed home. We're pulling a couple of them out of there. Mike, is this going to leave Israel real vulnerable right here at the end of finishing off Hamas, and they got to deal with Hezbollah? We're leaving now. What do you think?
Well, they still have, we unloaded over there, right? So they have
A lot of weapons to work with.
Yeah, they have a percentage of things. And so, but Pastor Paul, of course, my anchor is the word of God. So I know that at some point, Israel is going to be overrun, simply overrun. And it just so happens that Turkey has proposed tactical planning for a faith war, right? This is something I did not know. They have Turkey and Jordan put forward a tactical plan for faith war, right?
Wow.
Which is essentially a combination of the Islamic faith bringing about the end, or bringing about whatever their paradise is going to be, right? So
Turkey's gotten real active now. I mean, Egypt went to see Erdogan. Turkey has really rebuilt alliances there with Egypt and with Russia, of course, and they're seemingly and Iran. I mean, it really feels like Ezekiel 38 team is being built. If
Israel was going to be lost, wouldn't they have meetings so that they could set up the Middle East with brand new vectors everywhere, right? With brand new agreements everywhere. That's what they're thinking about, a Middle East without Israel, like it is today. If other powers take control of Israel, which is what people are going to see, it's not going to be like the Israel right now. There will be a two-state solution. Now, I hope everybody has been watching some sort of news, because this two-state solution statement has been given a few times. Right?
Yes, it has.
They said they cannot wait. They said it must go forward right now, right?
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
They're not waiting for the election.
Harris was very strong in that, and to the point that Trump even looked at her and said, "You hate Israel. This woman, you put her in, she hates Israel." And she never did say she was going to defend. She said Israel has the right to defend itself. Everybody has a right to defend themselves. What is that? That's not a blessing.
I don't think they don't have a real grip, right, on the biblical narrative of what's happening either. And they don't have that sentiment, Pastor Paul. They don't.
No, I
think
agree.
These people, they're just secular people, right? So all they see are numbers. All they see are, these calculated things.
Right.
Faith people see the word of God. They know it's going to come to pass.
Yep. Amen.
And they know how detrimental Israel is, how much of a beacon it is for the faith of Christianity in the first place, how important it is in God's eyes. They know what happens if somebody touches that land, but nobody else does, right? That's being lost more and more each day. So this love for Israel, people are going to be, it's not going to be like you think also. This is my view, but Pastor Paul, there are people out there that seem loyal to Israel right now. They will not be loyal come November. You watch and see. They will not. It's going to be a big betrayal is coming. And what that truly is when the identity of folks will come out. Think of people right now today. They're somewhat calm, right?
Yes.
When the first civil disruption happens, you're going to see a lot of people come out with a lot of hateful statements. Many of those who operate in a type of peace, they're going to find themselves not being able to talk anybody out of taking that position of hate, right? The worst of a person internally, if it still sits within them, is going to be brought to the surface through these different conflicts. I'll say it again. There are hate groups in America who are armed to the teeth, and they are positioned, and they are ready to act.
Yes.
They're ready to act. It is anticipated in 2 weeks, one of these groups could act. Now, they're not going to make it public, because every time they do, it causes a big stir. It causes a huge stir. And they've been looking for a race war for a long time, right?
Yeah, they've been trying to create one. I mean,
Pastor
the
Paul,
media has been so complicit in this. I mean, be honest with you.
with this, if you listen to the stories and the narrative of where it's been going, right? It's almost like people have no ability to stop them from going into this race thing in the first place. And they start fanning the flames of an ancient evil within this country. And that ancient evil is waking up. Now you have hate groups that are mobilizing. They're mobilizing. And people are trying to, there's some people are looking away, but it's gotten to the point now and they don't care. They're starting to speak out. They just seized another tractor trailer full of weapons and ammunition.
No, right? Here in
Going to
America,
some of these camps. Yeah, here in America, this is what seizure number. It has to be number 20 somewhere around there. So we certainly we have things in the planning, and when you have these foreign entities, these foreign powers, who don't necessarily like America, keep in mind they want America to burn. Right, in order for their prophecy to be fulfilled, America has to be on fire.
Especially the radical Islamists
are going to start that fire, and they're doing it by any means necessary. That's why you had all these college students standing up and protesting for the Palestine, right? For Gaza.
Yes.
That's why they were so sympathetic to the Gazan people, and they were hateful to the Jews.
Yes.
And bringing up all these stories about Zionists and this, that, and the other. They're starting that up again. They're starting the other one. Now they have this thing with the Haitians. There have been 4 specific planted stories, but they're not going to be retracted. It's just time will tell the truth on all things, right? As time passes, people will begin to see, but unfortunately, it will have started the fire by then.
Mike, I'm so glad that you got into these areas because they're prophetically are so important. I also want to move into another area. You know, we've talked about meteorites coming. There was a report just came out that planet number 9 or planet X, they believe they're going to find it. They're going to see it. And now I believe they already have it through infrared and all that, but they're publicly saying, Mike, they're going to see it in 2025 because this brand new Rubin Vera, it's called the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. It's down in Chile. And then I talked to some folks today who said, hey, could you ask Mike again? He's been telling us that the meteorites are coming, that they're, it could even happen this fall. Do you have any information on those meteor showers or I should say meteors, rockets, and
actually yeah
asteroids,
but here I'll make this simple. I can't elaborate now yet.
Okay, that's fine.
But from this moment here till mid 2027, it looks a little above board, which means we're going to have incursions here and there, right? Mid 2027, all bets are off.
Are you talking about impacts now? I mean, from asteroids, meteorites, things where it's going to hit us?
1,000%.
What?
Chance we are smacked. I'll say trajectories have already been plotted, right? These are off the known ones.
Yeah, we're not seeing these listed on spaceweather.com, right?
They're never going to, they're not going to chart something that's going to hit the earth. They're going to act like they didn't see it. But there are known tracks. So that puts us mid 2027. It's not a if, it's not a maybe, it's not a scenario. It's the real deal. But I want everybody to know this. If there's a binary star, if some other object is out there,
okay,
and it has an influence on our sun, then its mass is quite large, right? Now, here's what that means. Any object, near Earth, asteroid, or anything else, is going to be affected by a different object as it goes out. The orbit will not be the same. It's not going to have the same entry date as it's been plotted in some of these applications, right?
Okay.
It's not. So,
right.
So for example, suppose an object left our solar system and they said, okay, it's going to be back in 2 years. and it's going to miss us by 5 AU or something like that. If we have another object close to our sun and it has mass, right? There's no way it's going to keep that trajectory based upon one sun with mass, because essentially the sun will dictate when that object is coming back. If you have two objects of great mass, then that orbit is going to be offset.
Binary system.
Big time.
Binary
right?
system.
That's right. It's going to be offset. So any calculation of anything coming back will either be cut in half or it won't come back at all.
Okay. So
if they're saying something is coming in, say they say something left is coming in 50 years, if it's affected by some sort of a diminished mass out there, the timing is going to be so far off, the trajectories are going to be so far off. The only way they're going to be able to track those is to pick up that track again, right? So I'm saying that to say this: all bets are off on everything that left our solar system. That they say whatever they said, whatever date they said is coming back, is not going to be accurate, because there's another mass out there that will cause it to have an offset. Right.
Okay.
It's going to make it bow more. It's going to change its direction.
You're not talking Apophis then, are you?
Everything. Apophis cannot have the same entry vectors with another mass
pulling on
like
everything.
The sun out there. It cannot. It won't happen.
I see.
Right?
That's not going to happen. With that Planet X, that binary system out there, with the gravitational pull that it's doing, everything that's in its trajectory of everything is going to be altered. That's what you're saying?
There you go. If it's out there, right, then all bets are off.
If it's
they don't
out
have
there.
An entry vector for those things. So that means people should start reading stories saying, well, we don't know when Apophis is coming back. Well, it could come back here. That means you're going to lose total optics on Apophis, right?
That's
time
not
could
good.
Be cut in half, because with an increased mass, it could cause that orbit to collapse. In other words, it'll come back twice as fast.
That's not good. That's not good.
That's right. All bets are off. All bets are off. Nothing is going to.
So you're saying between from right now to about mid 2027, all bets are off. There's going to be some changes in the trajectory of everything.
Yes.
Is that what I'm hearing you say?
People should track the offsets in some of these objects coming back, because again, if anything goes out and we have another mass out there similar to our sun or diminished mass, nothing is going to keep its projected orbit. Nothing will, right? Nothing will. That's why they had a greater fuel burn with SpaceX, hitting certain spots of space, doing what they're doing.
Right.
Okay. Same thing. Nothing is going to keep its orbit. So that means that puts us in a blind area, an area where people are just not going to be prepared correctly, because things could come back in half the time they were supposed to come back.
All right, Mike, let's move to another area. Now, that's great explanation. I think you gave us all. To in other words, there's going to be some changes. We may not get a heads up on them. Mike, there's a couple things. We had a hurricane formed quickly. Cat 2. Done a lot of damage in Louisiana, Mississippi. It's still going out there. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of damage. Meanwhile, a 4.7 earthquake hit Malibu, California, breaking the record for earthquakes in a single year of 4.0 or higher in California. This is only September. Okay. Meanwhile, we have 3 outrageous wildfires burning completely out of control in California right now. We don't know how, and because they had so much heat in California this year. It was so hot out west. Yeah. It's so dry. We don't know what's going to happen in the next couple months as it relates to that situation. So tell us, what's going on here? Earthquakes, wildfires, just
that's that continued uptrend in these changes in the earth, big time changes in the earth. Africa, for example, in Africa, right? Saudi Arabia, they're having water spew out in the middle of the desert.
Well, I know locations. I saw that. Is it because of did we tell? Okay, BP Earthwatch was on Sunday night with me. We found where France 24 said, meteorologists they went live on TV and said, look, the Earth has tilted 152 degrees, moving the inner
150 miles.
152 miles, right? Mike, did that happen? What's going on?
Well, if you think of it, with the circumference of the Earth, 152 miles, and if you do that with rational terms, as kind of minuscule. In other words, it's a big distance for us, but it's not a huge distance for any
I see.
Any band of moisture. I call that the band of moisture, by the way, to move. Right.
Okay.
But it is moving. It is moving. It is going to cause some issues, some differences, and it will continue to fluctuate like that. Right. Our northern pole is still doing its jump all over the place thing, and it's is slowly trending. So it's actually magnetically, everything is starting to shift. Right. And we're about to hit a chaotic region in the magnetic field itself. Now, this is one thing I wanted to point out. We're going to eventually entertain the equator not being where it is.
That's what he's saying. That's what he said. Everything's. I mean, if the Earth tilts 152 miles, everything moves 152. Am I right?
Yeah, you're looking at the weather systems themselves.
Okay,
starting to shift. Now we also have a physical move of the Earth.
That's what he's talking about.
Things are not in alignment.
That's what Mike said. I mean, that's what BP is saying. He's saying, I'm not talking, BP wasn't talking magnetosphere, magnetic poles, but the actual physical tilt.
Yeah. 2011 past Paul used to tell people to get a sundial, right? Sundial.
Okay.
A stationary sundial, so that you can track the movements of the sun. They're going to be altering from that point forward. And so we've had these small shifts and movements of the Earth where that sundial is not what it used to be. Right?
That's true.
The Georgia Guidestones, they perfectly aligned with different cardinal points at different times of the year, right? They had a keyhole in there where it would point to a specific star cluster. When it no longer pointed to that star cluster, they tore it down.
They tore
it down because it did not align anymore. And they couldn't have people seeing that.
Wow.
They couldn't have people seeing. If anybody goes back and they really look and, don't read the text on that thing, just look at what it was doing.
Yes.
It was like a huge sundial, and it had two keyholes in there that pointed towards specific constellations. When they no longer aligned, it meant that the Earth has started its end process, the very process they were looking for, right? And in order to survive the transition, then you would have to meet the conditions on the Georgia Guidestone. That's what that was for. Here's what that means. We're going to have all this rain that we see, right? This rain is going to shift as far as where the bulk of the rain hits.
Okay.
A dryness is coming in. A dryness that the Earth has never had before. All conditions are going to change on this planet. They're going to become extremely dry, right?
Okay.
But it's going to be flooded first. So that means the loss of crops and everything else. This is coming, right? The water's already starting to come up from some of these inner oceans. We're not talking about cool water either. This water is superheated, and it's starting to pop up everywhere. Africa is going to be probably split into two continents here shortly.
No! Why? Because of water coming up?
Same thing.
Because of water?
Yeah, because they found those two oceans inside the Earth.
Yeah.
They found them, right? With all the activity in the Earth and with all the external activity and the pressures being altered on the Earth, everything is changing, from atmospheric pressures, right, to the constants of the thickness of each atmosphere. All that's starting to alter. Even ocean pressure depths are changing, right? Surface pressure is changing. That's also changing. It was raining rocks somewhere in the Middle East. I can't narrow down which place it was, but it was raining rocks. Yeah, it was raining rocks. And what happens inside the Earth, this superheated water, when it thrusts up, it breaks up everything and kicks it way up in the air, about 10,000 feet in the air, and then it all comes back down again, right?
Okay.
It's a process that's been captured in Africa. It's a process that's been captured and on a few continents, right? So it's not localized to one. We also know that's an indicator of we're about to have volcanic activity, the type we don't want.
Talk to me.
So
Talk
we'll
to me.
start to kick up again.
Now,
I'm
there was a big,
expecting.
1 second. The big volcanic eruption today, Italy, I mean, it's about 2,200. And I mean, this is just ash, basically. So tell me, what are you expecting?
And what are they doing in Italy? Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely not one thing.
They know very well that chamber is tied to a mega giant that'll make Yellowstone look like a pimple, right? They know that. They know that.
So,
and they listen. I tell you something. If people knew some of the hidden truths about this planet, right, they would look at times differently. Everything will be different. It's kind of like a nuclear weapon versus some of the new weaponry. If people knew about some of the new weaponry, they would have a different outlook on the end times.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
If we knew about some of the, for example, some of the craft that they're going to introduce to the world, some of these Vimanas, so to speak, if people knew about them, when they see them, when they're true, it's going to change their view on everything. Everybody's eschatology may change based on the introduction of some of these craft, right? When they sit there and see them every single day, right? And feel the
what
effect
kind of
from
craft?
them every
Okay,
single
whose
day.
crafts are you talking about?
No,
Military
they're not
or
ours.
extraterrestrial?
No. They're becoming quite bold now. See, while everybody has been not paying, they came out with the information. They told everybody what they told them, and nobody cares, right? Ever since that time, there have been a diverse set of objects coming right out of the ocean, just sitting there in the skies, and people just drive on as normal. A couple of people may go ooh and ah, but then when they're there for more than 30 minutes at a time, nobody cares, right? Because they find out the truth. Number one, you can't do anything with them. You can't. You're not going to talk to them. They just sit there. So what are you going to do? Nothing. They're not going to tell you anything. The craft won't. But they're starting to show up all over the place.
Are they trying to communicate with these?
No, they're not. These are more like vultures. They're
vultures?
Just like vultures.
Are you serious? Yes. Vultures?
These are like spiritual vultures is what they are. If you do something historically, if you look up any conflict we've ever had that consumed a lot of life, they had a bunch of reports prior to that war in that area, right? Same thing is happening here. Before every single notable disaster, same thing happens, right? So we're looking at nothing more than the fallen angels yet again doing their thing.
Yeah,
they're doing their thing,
manifesting themselves.
In my opinion, they're not peaceful. So I don't agree with anybody that says they're peaceful. I think they're beguiling people. I do. I think they've been doing the same thing they did in the beginning, right? And because you have to admit, when they abducted the people the first time, all those kids came back and said, hey, we got technology is hurting the planet. And then the kids grew up, and all of a sudden you have people hugging trees saying, no, don't start that car. You're going to damage this tree, right?
What?
So you have a lot of people who care more about the earth than human life. Where'd that come from? All that began with these children that were abducted. These parents who were abducted, they were all given the same message, that we have to protect the earth, that we are destroying the earth with technology. All you have to do is put that together. That's a very simple, track line of things that took place. We have observation platforms. The USA does. They're square. They look like pieces of paper from the bottom. That's not what's showing up, right? But again, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Weird stuff.
Anyway, though.
Well, let's talk a little bit.
Everybody will be introduced to it, right? And it's going to change everybody's view of everything. Because I'll tell you something. If any man on earth was able to call fire down from the heavens in view of all men, I'm not going to be impressed. That's not going to impress me. It's not. But if somebody were to be able to command craft, right, to do whatever he wanted them to do,
that would impress
that's a different story.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the beast does that same thing. I'm not going to be impressed if a laser comes out of the heavens. They're already there. That's not impressive. But if a person can control these craft that everybody you're starting to see that are mystical, all these things,
Right.
that's a different story, right? Then that will, people will go ooh and ah over that, because that's a sign of power. It is not a sign of power to be in control of some military asset. That's quite common.
That's cool.
Again, though, if people knew about what did exist and what has been existing, their view of many things would change.
All right, now, Mike, there's some other areas of concern that a lot
Yes,
of folks have. I'll just give you this. There's Lassa fever has killed 168 people in Nigeria.
Mhm.
Dengue fever has killed now over 100 people in Bangladesh this week. Several other, we have cholera on the rise. We have West Nile increasing here, even in America. We have EEE, which is a new mosquito-borne virus. We have a resurgence of polio in Gaza. We're dealing with some old viruses and fevers and different things. I'm not even bringing up cancer. What's happening? Have we hit it seems like that the pandemic is making a resurgence here in America. I'm hearing that.
Well,
what's going on?
First of all, like smallpox, right?
Yes, and monkeypox
and chickenpox. A lot of people had a vaccination against that stuff. That man's best little thing, right? And we know that everything man makes, there's a potential hazard connected to it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not endorsing vaccinations.
No.
But we had vaccinations towards that, which staved off quite a few people from catching chickenpox.
That's
and if
true.
anybody
That
lived
is
back
true.
in that time, if anybody lived it during that time where everybody was catching chickenpox, that was the itchy time.
I had it. I got mumps. I got chickenpox. I've been through it.
Yeah, that was no good.
Itchy
right?
time. It was an itchy time.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But we built up an immunity to that, right? The rest of the kids, they got vaccinated, so it staved it off, right? Well, guess what? After so many generations, people are not opting to get vaccinated because of all the backstories connected to it. I guess they were expecting man's inventions to be 100% effective. Well, that's not the case, right? Anything man makes can kill you in one way or another. Your car can too, right?
Right.
Everything does. So they're not perfect. Our Father's perfect. They are not. And so they come with unknown hazards. People don't know about the hazards, right?
No.
And anyway,
yeah.
So, but nobody's taken those vaccinations. They don't want the vaccinations. So you have a resurgence of these diseases that never really left. The issue was, like, mumps have always been around, measles have always been around, but they could not get a foothold in human beings, right? They've always been around. They can't get a foothold in human beings. So when you have an entire generation who really has not been vaccinated, right? Well, then it gets inside them, it mutates, and then it changes into something else, infecting brand new people again.
Yeah, there's going to be some new outbreak. All right, let me ask you this
Black
question.
Plague is back too.
Right,
all
of it.
Yeah.
President Trump in the election, and even after the election, he is now saying there's high suspicions about the assassination attempt on his life. He is beginning to say, look, there's more and more evidence, or more things are pointing to that there was potential government involvement in his assassination attempt. This raises another whole level of suspicion about our nation and coming into this volatile election. What is your thoughts on what's going to happen with this? Are we ever going to understand? Here's my point. Will there be another assassination attempt on President Trump?
Well, there has to be one on both now.
On both?
Has to be even, yep. Has to be one on Kamala too. It will be one on Kamala also. Likewise, it will be.
Wow.
President Trump, right? There were cops out there that just ignored this guy.
Yeah, that don't make sense.
And they were kind of lax on security out there. We know that. They had the wrong people who were to take a bullet for Trump. They weren't even taller than he was, right? So they couldn't give him proper coverage.
That's
and all
crazy.
that stuff
That
was
was
wrong.
crazy.
They denied him extra details, right? They denied extra police presence around the, certain things. Why? Because they didn't think, who knows? But there were too many coordinated things that were laxed that allowed this to happen, right?
Yeah.
So Trump, during the debates, he said, "It's your rhetoric." He was talking to Kamala. He said, "It's the Democrats' rhetoric that caused this assassination in the first place."
Wow.
Right? Their rhetoric saying that if Trump gets into power, the nation is going to be destroyed. This, that, and the other.
Yes.
And which it is. That will, because everybody in the USA is not, their bowling ball does not go all the way down the lane. Right?
That's true.
So you get folks out there who are somewhat they're extremists in their own right, and anybody can be a fall guy for somebody else if you handle them right? So it's a lot of people out there like that. Well, this comes out, and basically the conservatives heard that, right? And so they're thinking about that. Now the Democrats are laughing, saying, "Oh, that's another one of his sayings." To make it even, now you have to have an attempt on the VP, so they can nullify the attempt on Trump.
Yeah, that's
you follow me?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Okay.
it. Okay.
And then what that will do is it will take away that the reasoning behind it. And one of the first actions in causing another nation to go to war is you have to start taking away these viable reasons why it happened in the first place. So you have to kind of confuse the waters a bit. So that's something that will take place.
Well, in
Again,
that case, it'd be a fake. And to my opinion, it'd be a fake attempt. In Trump's case, it was an actual. They wanted to kill this man. The people involved here is not just this one kid crawling up on top of a roof. There's no way no one will ever convince me that this one kid acted on his own, alone. That's like, here we go with the Oswald thing.
There'll be more. There'll be more. There'll be more. But you know what? At the end of the day, though, we live in a very dark world these days when it comes to people who do things like that. And these acts are going to really cost people. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a couple of martyrs. I wouldn't be surprised. I know that
surrogates, some kind of surrogates, maybe
somebody's going under the dirt. Somebody will be. It's going to cost them everything. That's going to happen. It's going to cost them everything.
They'll sacrifice. They'll sacrifice
these are extreme times.
One of their pundits or somebody close to one of the candidates.
Well, think of it this way. There are two ways you can look at this. There are a lot of people out there right now who would not hesitate to take out the Democrats. There are people out there that wouldn't hesitate to take out the Republicans.
That's
right
sad.
now. They're out there.
That's
right?
Sad.
They stopped. They have probably averted that scenario at least 40 times in the last 2 weeks. Like, people went to jail. People went to jail.
So do you know of some of these plots of assassinations of uneven?
Yes, communications they're out there, right? And some of these groups will not stop until they complete it. And to be honest with you, some of these groups will probably attain. They will likely partially succeed in what they're trying to do, because there's no way any one organization can stop all that. The only way to do that is the unthinkable way, and that is to lock down this nation, to stop the elections, right? And to essentially cage everybody, have everybody stay in place.
Now,
to do a sweep of this nation would take 2 months.
Mike, in the webinar coming up, there are 3 different speakers I've already filmed that don't know each other, never talk to each other, but they all 3 said 2 things the same. And one was a pause, that something's going to happen, that it's going to cause a pause in the election process. Now, are you hearing anything about a delay, a pause? It could be, and there's 20 different possibilities that could cause that. But a pause, is that anything? Do you hear any chatter? Is there any chatter out there in the intelligence world?
If a council is utilized, there is no standing president.
If the council is utilized, there will be no standing president.
No.
Who is the council that we keep hearing about? Who? You don't have to give me names, but are they the puppet masters? Are they the elitist group? There's 10 or 12 billionaires. I mean,
these are the ones who have been there for some time, right? They are the final line in all advisements. A president can talk, but have you noticed they cannot do everything they want to do?
Oh, I see that. I saw that when Trump's Twitter account got frozen. I knew right then that he wasn't running the show.
Remember when he wanted to build the wall?
Yep.
He was stopped.
They stopped him.
He could not do it. He signed everything he could sign, and he could not do it.
No,
right? Nope. Because there's another power that just has not come forward yet.
Deep state.
Right? So you have these presidents who can say anything they want to say. If the council does not approve it, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And in fact, if a person will start looking back through all these precedents, they would see a pretty clear message that everybody cannot do what they want to do, right? That's just the way it is. But in the absence of a sitting president, if that council comes forward, well, that can only mean one thing. That means the door is going to be open and somebody's coming forward. That's what that would mean.
Folks, you might have forgot. I believe it was 5 years ago. We did a webinar called, or maybe 4 years ago, we did a webinar called Deep State. And Mike's one of the speakers. It was Doug Hagman. He did two presentations. We had General Jerry Boykin. We had Lisa Haven, Laura Eisenhower, the granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the president, Mike from around the world, L.A. Marzulli, Steve Quayle, and myself. And also my son Bart did this documentary, okay, called Obamagate, which was really good. I'm just saying you can find this at my website. I'm so curious myself to go back and want to watch these now because there was so many great information. I know, Mike, you were amazing in this. There was so much information in this webinar. And now here we are 4 or 5 years later. And the stuff that was talked about then, we are seeing it played out, not only played out, but beyond that. Mike, is there a Marxist plan to hostile takeover of America, changing of the guard? Is there a cabal that has now put the pedal to the metal? Is this the time that nations like China are salivating for the moment to take this great nation?
Well, yeah, you could say China's in the wings, right? Russia's waiting in the wings too. And look at us now. We have our hands tied.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That was one of my favorite phrases. What happened to the USA that we couldn't protect Israel? Hands are tied, right?
Yeah.
Hands are tied. But our boys are coming back home because most of them, they better be back here before Northcom issues what they need to issue past fall, because the civility here in the USA is about to decline rapidly. Right? If people would wake up to this, I hope they say no to the hate that's about to spew. I mean, hate on a brand new level, Pastor Paul. It's going to draw hatred out of just about everybody. Have you ever seen a situation where you're forced to take a side? If you don't take a side, then your safety is in danger. Have you ever
I'll tell you what.
Like that?
Now, I have been alive through 12 presidents. I was born when John F. Kennedy was president. I remember growing up where people had signs in their yards, bumper stickers on all their cars. You know, if you was for this guy or you was for this person or whatever, you weren't ashamed to say it. You stood for your candidate.
Right.
You don't see anything now because people are
You can get
scared to
hurt.
death.
You can get hurt.
That is dangerous.
People are getting hurt. People
I
are getting
know.
hurt. You know, they're getting, if they go into some blue state, they have some, you know, they get hurt.
They get
The
hurt.
opposite's true on the opposite side. They're getting hurt. But what's coming, Pastor, is a deeper hatred, an ancient hatred that we got rid of a long time ago. Everything is coming back. It's coming back, and it's coming back with a vengeance.
Is it about like it was in the Civil War, just before Abe Lincoln became president? Are we almost at that point?
It's worse, because right now people are suppressing their hatred. It's not that they don't have it. It's that they're not acting on it.
I see.
Right?
I see.
And when they see a situation begin to happen, I'm telling you, people are going to be, they're going to say, well, I have no choice. I have to join in with this group. I have to join in with this group, or my family's in danger. And numbers are going to begin to balloon on all sides, right? This is going to take place. It's going to take place.
Do you believe people are moving to blue states and red states? They're trying to go where they can live, where there are people like-minded.
Yes, they are. They are. And my advice to any and everybody, for example, continue to watch New York City.
Okay.
Continue to watch
I'm
New
watching
York.
it. Okay.
And watch the development in New York. But listen to the folks who try to explain it, right? When you see people looking around when they're talking to a news pundit, right? And they're looking around to see who's watching, or they're frightened
to
talk to the news in the first place. We have problems. That means the threat is going deeper than this political argument. A very ancient hatred is coming back, and it's coming back swiftly. It's sweeping everywhere, Pastor Paul. So we're back in those days.
You know, I remember having a guy on, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. He ran for governor. He's run for governor 5 times. His last name is Newman. And he was part of a movement in California called Northern California. They wanted to create a new state. They wanted to break away from the Southern California coast. It was just the Northern California. They literally have formed. They've got groups. They've got money. They're petitioning the courts. They literally, right now, we have people in Washington State who want to join Idaho. They want to leave Washington State and be a part of Idaho. Do you see is there a possibility?
Great migration?
Yes.
You better believe it. They're going to be evacuations too. They're going to be escorted evacuations.
Kicked out. You're saying kicked out of states, evacuated out, not just choosing to go, but forced to go. You see that happening?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's going to have to be some type militant component. A militant component will be involved. When you see the hate level rise, seemingly without control, when young kids die at the hands of hateful people, right? Because our prisons are already running over.
Yeah.
Already running over. And it's like those prisons are a true habitation of demons. But
yeah,
there are a lot of hateful people still left in this country, and they're coming to the surface. They're coming. You know what? The only thing that will ever keep a component like that back is the presence of the Holy Spirit. But what do you see happening? You see God's people are gathering together, going away from certain places also. That's what you see, right? The violence is so high.
They have to.
Who wants their family in a place that, that constantly has this contention in it? And so you see this unavoidable thing taking shape. And it's almost like no one has power to stop it. No one. But the violence toward the children will be the eye opener for everybody.
Oh Lord!
Because it will get extensive, Pastor Paul. It really will. These guys and the foreign elements are not going to stop until this nation is on fire.
Literally,
and they want to hit. They have a plan against every state coming up soon.
We're in the end times, Mike.
That's it, too.
We're in the last days here, Mike.
We are.
What is next week, what do you see? Okay, we are inching toward October, which I believe is, that's why we did this webinar, October Survive. Maybe it is October Survive instead of October Surprise. What are you concerned about the most coming in between now and the next 7 days? Is there things on your plate right now that you're just like, whoa, this could blow up any minute? What are you concerned
Yeah, I
about?
have a lot on my plate, basketball. One of my biggest concerns is with people, right? All too often, I see people sucked in through rhetoric and other means. Good people, right?
Right.
And they begin to be a part of this hate element, the violence. I could say this with absolute certainty. Anybody who takes part in the violence that's about to break out, they're going to be it's almost like God is marking people. This is their trial.
We don't want to do this.
If they take part in this violence, they're going to have to endure that violence.
That's not good.
But it's coming. It's almost like a vacuum, and it's going to start sucking people into it. It won't get me, but I can see the strength of it, right? How it really, certain people can say certain things that will hit the right buttons in a person to cause them to react. Well, God's children need to be those who don't react to anything. And we don't need to suppress anything. We need to purge ourselves of all things that nothing can move us, save our Father in heaven. If anything it's almost like a gauge, basketball, because if we can be moved by any topic on earth, then Satan has a weapon he can use against us at any given moment.
Amen.
Because he can trigger us through anything that moves us, right?
Yeah.
But if we can purge ourselves of such things, Satan has no weapon against us.
Amen.
And I do believe there's a scripture that says that we may be able to stand the wiles of the enemy.
It does. Right? That's what it says.
In face of that. So preparation is everything, certainly in this time, because time is something that, looks like we don't have a lot of these days.
Mike, I appreciate you coming on tonight. It was a powerful, powerful evening. Thank you for being open, candid, and at the same time respectful and encouraging that through it all, if we put our faith in Jesus, we'll make it through this, and we've got a better place to go, but we'll make it through this. But we're going to have to and what I heard you say, don't get caught up in the rhetoric. Don't get caught up in the hatred. Don't let the devil suck you into this world, right?
That's right. We continue to work, but not in a hateful way.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mike, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Again, powerful. And I can't wait. I haven't filmed your presentation yet for the webinar, but I can't wait. I mean, are you got anything for us that you haven't said yet?
Yep.
I knew you. All right. I'll wait till then. Okay. Mike, thank you so much.
Passball is always an honor. It's always an honor, Passball. Always.
The honor's mine. Thank you, Mike. God bless.
All right. God bless.